بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا وقدوتنا محمد عليه أفضل الصلاة وأزكى التسليم اللهم علمنا بما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. Welcome to Beginning Arabic. We are in what I've started calling level 2. Level 1 took us all the way up to the possessive construction mudaf mudaf ilayh. Everybody did fantastic with that. It was fun. And now we're moving on to level 2, which our first lesson in level 2 is about feminine nouns. Feminine nouns, how we can recognize them, what are their corresponding demonstrative pronouns and so on and so forth, right? And we said primarily that I should back up. We said that there's different ways of being feminine in the Arabic language, okay? One of the ways is a linguistic femininity, and that is indicated by the ta marbuta, okay? So you'll have the great majority of female names or feminine names will have a ta marbuta, Khadija, Aisha, Hafsa, so on and so forth. However, the rule isn't perfect in that there are some masculine names, or at least names for men, that are linguistically feminine, such as Hamza, such as Usama, such as Ubaida, and so on and so forth. Right? We won't use. No problem. Of course, it's okay. Not a problem at all, Sister Seima. Thanks for letting me know. So we're not going to be using hadihi, which we learned is the demonstrative pronoun for this feminine. We're not going to be using hadihi for Hamza just because Hamza has a ta marbuta, right? It is linguistically feminine, but because it's a male name or it's the masculine name, the meaning takes precedence when we're determining what type of demonstrative pronoun to use with it. However, there's the opposite situation as well, and we're going to get into that with this example right here, where we left off. There are some words that are not linguistically feminine in the sense that they don't have a ta marbuta, but they are considered feminine by something that is either hidden or by meaning. So if we have the name Hind, okay, very popular name these days among Arabs. Hind is a very popular name. It does not have a ta marbuta. It resembles a masculine name, however, it is feminine. We would use hadihi. Hadihi, this is my friend Hind, we would say. We would have to use hadihi. And then there are other words that are inanimate objects that don't have any symbol to tell you whether they're one or the other. You'll just have to learn that they are considered feminine, such as qidr here in this is a pan or a pot for cooking. Right? So this is a type of word that if you look at it, you can't tell that it's masculine. It doesn't have a ta marbuta, and it's not obvious to us as English speakers that it refers to a feminine meaning. However, in the Arabic language, it is feminine, and that's why it has the demonstrative pronoun hadi. So just to keep limber, right? Keep your categories limber. Arabic is not like English to the extent that it has exceptions to the rules and this and that and the other. But there are things that are kind of little wrinkles here and there in certain rules. Many of the rules that we teach, they are to explain the majority or overwhelming majority of cases. So whereas the vast majority of words with a ta marbuta are feminine, not all of them are. And a great many words without ta marbuta, if they are inanimate objects, are masculine, but not always so. So, getting back to our lesson. let's proceed with the examples. If I could have the Sayyid family, Muhsin and Saira, one of you take, both of you complete this example, whichever one goes first, it doesn't matter.
هذه ملعقة وهذه قدر.
الملعقة في القدر.
Very good. MashaAllah. So mil'aqa is a spoon. Here it looks like a spatula. But really it's a spoon, and I think what they wanted to do here was make it like a slotted spoon, like a serving spoon. And a qidr is, as we said, it can be a pot or a pan. Very good. And we heard how, so mil'aqatun follows what we would expect of a feminine noun. It has a ta marbuta, so that's easy to discern that this is feminine. هذه ملعقة. Qidr, however, doesn't have a ta marbuta, so now we simply have to memorize that, yes, qidr is feminine. وهذه قدر. No, it has nothing to do with the fact that it's in the kitchen and therefore feminine because because of certain gender roles. No, it doesn't. It just happens to be this particular word. We used to laugh because the book that we had, this is an updated version of this book. We had studied from the original version of this book that was in the 70s. And every single example where there's a woman involved, she's always in the kitchen and she's always kind of, doing, domestic things and vice versa. So it'll be interesting to see as we go through the book if they've updated some of the examples or not. Very good. Brother Sa'ir, can you do the following example with our nice cow here?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. هذه بقرة الفلاح.
Good. Could you translate what you think that means? I'll spot you the falah. A falah is a farmer.
Okay. This this is the farmers how do you say baqara again? Buffalo beef.
Yeah, salam. That reminds me of a good story. Okay. Cow. Very good. Very good. This reminds me of a story I have to share with you. Okay, so this is language. This is normal. Okay, so one time there was a Somali brother I knew, and he was in a grocery store, and he had just come from his homeland, and he didn't know the word for chicken. So he goes to the back of the grocery store, and he picks up an egg out of the carton, and he waits in line in the checkout line, and he waits and he waits. Finally, he gets up to the front, and he says to the cashier, he says, "Where is its mother?" Because he doesn't know the word for chicken. So this is normal when we don't, we're used to, mashallah, our native language. We are very accustomed to being able to express whatever we want without really having to think about it. Well, when we are in a new language, we go back to being children and babies. We can barely say anything. And it's a test, it's a trial of patience. So Baqarah, Say family, that's a good So Baqarah is a cow, but more specifically, it's okay, and term isn't really used. It's interesting how languages change. So in English language, we've had many, many words that have fallen out of use with the increasing urbanization and such. So technically, a baqarah is a heifer. A heifer is a female cow, right? In many languages, and English is no different, there's different words for the male and female version of things. Whereas a male cow would be considered a steer or a bull, and a female cow would be a heifer. However, today, that's too much work for us city folk, and so we just say cow. But technically, baqarah, you can tell it has a ta marbuta, and so it is a feminine cow. We would not use baqar for a male cow. We would use a different word. Fallah is a farmer. And this is a really interesting word because it derives from a word, falaha, muflihun. Maybe you recognize that word from the Quran, which is somebody who is successful or somebody who is happy, right? And so al-falah is actually on a pattern that indicates someone who is continually kind of intensely happy and successful. It's kind of I'm imagining in the history of the language, kind of the sensation when somebody's crops turn out or their sustenance is secured. And Allah knows best. But notice here, falah is masculine, baqara is feminine, and the demonstrative pronoun that we're using for it is feminine, because we're not talking about the farmer, we are talking about the cow. هذه بقرة الفلاح. This is the farmer's cow. Because this here is referring to the cow is feminine, we have to use the appropriate demonstrative pronoun. Very good. Brother Tamim, could you do the following example?
هذا أنف وهذا فم.
Very good. Anf is nose.
Okay.
Fem is mouth.
Okay.
Okay. Now, here's an interesting thing. Who can try to take a stab at this and maybe see if they can figure it out? We're learning the feminine. Huh. Why do they throw in some masculine nouns right here? هذا أنف وهذا فم. They thought we forgot the masculine nouns. Like what's going on? Anyone want to take a guess?
Maybe these words are feminine words. The nouns are feminine nouns.
That's a very good guess given my little intro on but that's not correct. Okay, has everybody got the it will become apparent in the following examples. Has everybody gotten a screenshot of the new words before I erase them? Aywa, Sheikh family. Yeah, salam. Very good. Body parts. We're moving into body parts. Anf and fem are body parts that are singular, meaning there's only one of them. Anf, hada fem. But if there is a body part that comes in pairs, ears, eyes, hands, then the body part is considered a feminine noun. Very good, Sheikh family. I'm going to assume that you knew that from before and not that you just looked ahead at the next example. Okay, everybody has the vocab words. I'm going to erase it and scroll down.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sure somebody has it. 32 teeth. Asnan. Sinum. Sinatum. Asnan. Sina is feminine. Sin is feminine, I believe, but I'll have to check up on that. That's a good question. So here we are now. Now we've reached the examples where there are multiple ones. So we've reached, Masarrat, could you please do this example for us?
هذه أذن وهذه عين.
Very good.
أذن is ear and عين is eye.
Yes, excellent. And so even though they come in pairs, notice that because of the tanween, you're saying an ear, an eye, right? We're using the,
Yes.
this is nakira. Right? We're talking about, this is a jumla ismiya, very, very, the first type of sentence that we learned, right? هذا بيت. هذه أذن. This is an ear. And the indefinite marker is hidden in the tanween, or it's placed in the tanween. Very good. Brother Muhammad, can you do the next example?
وهذه يد وهذه رجل.
Good. Excellent. And this is the same thing. No need to translate unless you really want to. This is a hand, yad. وهذه رجل. And this is a leg. MashaAllah. So a lot of new vocabulary. a couple new concepts, but by and large, it's mostly what you're familiar with as far as sentences, as far as demonstrative pronouns, and so on and so forth. Anybody have any questions about these examples before we move on to the next pair? Okay, hope somebody's gotten a screenshot of the words. Clear? Alhamdulillah. Okay. Then we continue. Tamarin. Tamarin is the plural of tamreen. It means exercises. Iqra waktub. Again, I'll reiterate that, obviously when we're here together in Zoom, it doesn't make sense to spend our time writing. However, the more you write these lessons in a notebook and a journal at home, even just practicing copying, the more it's going to cement all of these lessons and all of the practice that you're doing in class. So I highly recommend that. Our teachers in Medina used to have us copy the Quran, or even better yet, try to write the Quran from your memory. And that was a very, very effective learning tool for really paying close attention to every little letter and harakah that has to be there. MashaAllah. So now what they've done is they've taken away the harakat. They've taken away the harakat because they want you to now attempt to put into practice both what you know from vocab and what you know from grammar. They're only going to give you the occasional harakat if there's an ambiguity, and this is how most books in Arabic are written. So we came actually across this before, whereas if you look at this word right here, madrasatun, without the fatha on the mim, it's ambiguous. It could be mudarrisatun, it could be the female teacher, or it could be madrasa, a school. There's no way of knowing unless it was part of a larger story and it was clear. But here it's not clear, and so they've placed the fatha there for you, and so on there. That's usually the standard practice. Same over here with mudarris. Good. So where had we reached? We have taken care of this. Yes. We're down to, I believe, Sister Saima. Could you read the first one for us out loud?
هذه مسجد وهذه مدرسة.
Excellent work. Very good. I'm going to just test a little bit of Arabic grammar while we're at it. So let's just look at هذا مسجد. What type of sentence is this? Is this a jumla ismiya or a jumla fi'liya or what?
This is jumla ismiya because it starts from ism. هذا is ism ishara.
MashaAllah. And where is the khabar in that sentence? هذا مسجد.
هذا is mubtada and masjidun is khabar.
MashaAllah. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Someone from the Sheikh family, number 2.
من هذه هذه أخت عباس.
Yes, fantastic. Translate that for us. What does that mean?
Who is this? This is Abbas' sister. Abbas' sister.
Good. Now, this is a great question. You did this completely correctly, but everybody else deserves to know. How did you know to put a dhamma on the end of ukht?
Mudaf ilayh, the possessive construction.
That you are correct, but you are wrong. Ukht is mudaf. You're 100% right, and it's part of a possessive construction, mudafun ilayh. But mudafun ilayh doesn't guarantee that this is going to be a dhamma. All it guarantees is that the mudaf has no alif lam and it has no tanween. It could be a dhamma, it could be a fatha, it could be a kasra. So I'll give you another chance.
I don't know.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
We're gonna pass.
No, we don't.
We don't know.
Okay, good. Alhamdulillah. I don't know is half of knowledge. Okay, so we have two opinions in the chat box. It's mabni, and the other opinion, it is khabar. Okay, for the sake of time, I'm going to tell you that this is khabar. That's the reason. Ukhtu, as an ism, is not mabni, though that's a good guess, Sister Saima. There are asma, there are nouns that are mabni, such as Isa, Musa, right? Many of these sort of names that end with an alif, right? Those are mabni, so they don't change at all. However, ukht does change. We have ukhtu, ukhta, ukhti, right? The reason that this has a dhamma is because of the sentence and not because of the possessive construction. This is jumla ismiya. Hadihi is the mubtada, and ukhtu Abbasin is the khabar. What is the default grammatical case of the mubtada and the khabar? It's marfu'. It is in the nominative case, which is represented by the dhamma, in this case with a singular noun. So ukhtu. If, let's say that we change it to a jumla fi'liya. Let's say, I mean, it's a shame that we use this verb in Arabic grammar, but we always use the verb daraba, which means to hit or to strike. Good question, Sister Saima. I'll answer that in just a moment, inshallah. Right, so daraba means to hit or to strike, and for whatever reason in Arabic grammar, that's always the go-to verb to make a jumla fi'liya, just because it's very short and concise. So if I wanted to say, for example, darabtu, I hit or I strike, ukhta Abbasin would be correct. So we haven't learned any conjugation yet, so don't worry about that. But if I said, for example, right, a little bit more legibly, just take my word for it, that darabtu means I hit. Darabtu, then it would become ukhta Abbasin. Ukhta Abbas is still mudaf ilayh. It's still a possessive construction. However, ukht is now the object of the verb. And so the grammatical case of ukht changes. What doesn't ever change about ukht, because it is part of this possessive construction, is that it never has a tanween and it never has an alif lam. Which is why I asked the question, because this is kind of a tricky point to get. As for a compound khabar, Sister Saima, yes, there are such things as compound khabars. Very good. So one could ask, okay, Abbasin is part of the khabar, maybe, according to you, Ya Imam, but it has a kasra. How is that possible? We have simple khabars and we have compound khabars. We have khabars that are simply one word, right? Like up here, hadha masjidun, simple, two dhammas. Hadihi madrasatun, simple, just one word. But, we can have compound khabars. We can have a khabar that is a possessive construction, right here. Hadihi ukhtu Abbasin, it's a possessive construction. We can have a khabar that is a prepositional phrase. Ana, which means I, min America, I am from the United States, right? Prepositional phrase. Now, why ukht has a dhamma is because it is part of the khabar and nothing else has come yet in the sentence to change it from having a dhamma. However, once we get to Abbas, Abbas is the second part of a possessive construction. We know that that means it has to be majroor with a kasra, in this case, two kasras. So something has happened in the sentence to change it from its default position. I hope that's clear, inshallah. So, so
we can say, Sheikh,
yes.
so we can say, like, if you didn't want to say Abbas, so hazihi ukhtun.
Yes, correct, 100%. That's great. That'll really help us understand this point. If you didn't want to say a possessive construction, then 100%. If you say this is a sister, ukhtun, yes, it would be a simple khabar, and the khabar would be marfu'. It would be in the nominative case because that's the default case for the khabar. All we did here is we took this and we put it into a possessive construction, and it lost its tanween. Ukhtu Abbas. Good point. That's a very, very helpful way to think about it. Okay, so Brother Zia did number 2. If we could have Sister Asmat do number 3.
هذا ديك وهذه دجاجة. دجاجة.
There we go. Very good. Dajajatun. Excellent. A dajaja is a, oh yeah, that's right.
That's a rooster. This is a rooster, and this is a.
Very good. Yes. So a deek is a rooster, male chicken, and a dajaja is a hen or a female chicken. Again, we see the different terminology for gendered animals. And these are simple sentences, simple mubtada khabar. Good. We have, okay, Sister Erum, could you please do number 4?
هذا ابن المدير هذا ابن المدير
Good.
هذا بنت المدرسين.
Good. Very good, mashallah. So she knew, listen to how she knew how to put the dhamma on the bint. Because it's the same exact thing. It's mubtada khabar, bintu. If, I'm going to use Brother Zia's example. If there was no mudarrisi, it would be hadihi bintun. This is a girl, or this is a daughter. But because now we don't want to say something that simple and mundane, we want to say whose daughter it is. Hadihi bintul mudarrisi. Very good. So we have hadha ibnul mudiri, and ibn also has the dhamma. Wa hadihi for feminine, bintul mudarrisi. And perfect. I think I heard Brother Muhammad Tariq in the background there. We have number 5 for you, if you would.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
هذه أم ياسر.
Very good, mashallah. That was a tricky one. Because of the dhamma, because it's an unfamiliar word. Ummu Yasirin. And this translates to is mother. So this is Yasir's mother. Hadihi Ummu Yasirin. And again, I'm going to really rely on Brother Zia's example because I really, really like thinking about it that way. If we didn't want to say whose mother it was, we would just simply say hadihi ummun. This is a mother. Hadihi ummun. With 2 dhammas. However, we want to be more specific than that. We want to say whose mother she is. And so now we put it as part of a possessive construction. Hadihi ummu yasirin. Very good. Okay, I think we've reached back to the beginning. And sometimes my list of participants, it reorders them. So don't feel offended if I go out of order for the second round. We're on number 6 now, and the first person on my list is Sister Seima. Could you please do number 6 for us?
Yes, Imam. Yes, Imam. Number 6. أين قدر اللحم?
Very good. Could you translate for us?
Where is yes, Emma?
Either we just learned earlier.
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Yes. Correct. Could you translate that for us? Do you remember what?
Where is meat pot?
Yeah, very good. In the pot of meat. Yes, 100%. Where is the pot of meat? Now, notice here, okay, up here when we were dealing with possessive constructions, 2 out of 3 times, we were dealing with proper names. Ummu Yasirin and Ukhtu Abbasin. Now, because we were dealing with proper names, the second part of the possessive construction, the mudaf ilay, had 2 kasras. Whereas if you're using a common noun, al-mudarris, it only has 1 kasra. هذه بنت المدرس. هذا ابن المدير. So we're in a similar situation here with number 6. أين قدر اللحم. And lahm means red meat. Okay, it is distinguished, though this can be, I should say that this can change from place to place. I have heard of some places in the Arab world where lahm is used for both chicken or poultry and meat. But from Medina, what I'm aware of is that, and even in the texts of the ulama, usually if we say lahm, it's going to mean red meat and not poultry. Yes, so beef, goat, lamb, camel even. Not my favorite, but it's yajuz, permissible. So aina qidrul lahmi, and they have this nice fridge here. We're assuming that someone's asking for the location of it in the fridge. Nakira have tanween, but if la lam comes, so tanween change in one harf. Yes, yes, fantastic, Sister Seima. So we had likened it to a seesaw. You know, a seesaw, it balances like this that the children ride. Normally, if we have a noun, an ism, it's either going to have alif lam or it's going to have tanween. One or the other. Never both. Ever, ever, ever both. How do we know when something is possessed by something else? In that situation, it has neither. But in a normal situation, like in the following part, oh, I didn't realize, Sister Seima, there's a second part to your exercise here. We'll get to that in just a moment. In a normal ism that's not possessed, it will either have nakira, it will either have tanween because it's nakira, or it will have alif lam. If it has alif lam, then the correct ending, it will only have 1 harakah, whether it's a kasra, fatha, or dhamma. Whereas if it has no tanween, it will have 2 harakas, whether it is 2 kasras, 2 fathas, or 2 dhammas. Correct. Go ahead, Sister Seima, and finish. I didn't realize that this was also part of your, it's the answer to the previous question.
هي في الثلاجة.
Yes. And if we wanted to say the ending, we would say في الثلاجة. You know what that
T, yeah. هي في الثلاجة because of حرف جر. في حرف جر, so الثلاجة اسم مجرور and last حركة will be كسرة. Am I right?
Fantastic. Yes, 100%. Good. Hiya. Why do we use hiya? Because we're referring to the qidr. The qidr, the pot, is feminine. Fi is inside ath-thallaja. Thalj is what we call snow or ice. All right, so thallaja is the cooler or the freezer or the fridge, refrigerator. On the pattern of fa'al, but feminine, fa'ala. Good. Getting close to the end of time here. We'll try to move on. Sheikh family, could you split number 7 between the 2 of you? Someone do the first, someone the second.
هذا باب.
Yes.
وهذه نافذة.
Good. Nafidatun is a window. I guess, oh yes, it's supposed to be a window. I see it now. That's one window with the kind of crossbar. Okay. So a nafida is a window. Yes? Good job. Everybody, has someone taken a screenshot of this so you have all of the new words, inshallah? Okay, I'm going to erase it and move on. Thalaja and Nafida, they have ta marbuta, and so it's obvious that they are feminine nouns. Thalaja, ti in this case, and nafidatun. And the following exercise is asking questions with these sorts of nouns, and I think we're probably going to save that for next class because we're at the end of our time slot. Does anybody have any questions about anything we went over today? Anything that we've learned before? Anything that you came across that surprised you or you had a question about? There are, yes, if we're looking for specific words, so if we think about lahm as a category word for red meat, then there are specific words for type of meat. So for example, kharoof. Kharoof is typically lamb, or it can also be, oh, what do they call it in Medina? There's another kind of more colloquial word they use in Medina for it. Ghanam. Ghanam. That's another, so I can write those for you. That is a very good, I like the connections that you make. So kharoof is sheep, or also ghanam. Is can be used for either mutton, whether it's an older sheep or lamb. Bethlehem, Beit al-Lahm. I mean, I don't know Hebrew, so if it's the same lahm as Arabic's lahm, then yes, that would mean half the meat. We could say a butcher shop, right? A literal translation doesn't do it justice to probably how it sounds in its original form. If Bethlehem is the same root, it might not be. Beit, yes, Beit, anything in Hebrew that is Beit is house. But it could be, for example, ham, right? Is it a hard ha or is it a soft ha? Ham means importance, right? You say there's i'lan ham, there's an important announcement, right? So I would need to hear a native pronounce it, and then we need to have a conversation over tea about Semitic languages. But it's possible, it could mean that. Anyone, any other questions? Okay, everybody's doing fantastic work. Thank you very much for your time and participation. Happy studying, and we will see you Wednesday, inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.